The rivalry continues. Houston Texans vs Dallas Cowboys 2022 Week 14 game highlights. The long-standing rivalry between the Houston Texans and Dallas Cowboys was on full display in the Week 14 matchup of the 2022 season. With both teams vying for a playoff spot, the stakes were high, and it was a game that had everyone watching. From the intense defensive battles to the thrilling offensive plays, this matchup had it all. In the end, the Texans emerged victorious, but not without a fight from the Cowboys. Read on for a full breakdown of the game highlights from this heated rivalry. The Houston Texans and Dallas Cowboys faced off for the first time in 2022 Week 14, and it was an exciting matchup. The two teams entered the game with similar records, but it was the Texans that came out on top with a 35-31 victory. The Texans got off to a strong start, scoring on their first possession of the game. Quarterback Deshaun Watson connected with receiver Will Fuller on a beautiful 25-yard touchdown pass. The Cowboys responded with a field goal to make it 7-3, but the Texans responded quickly with another touchdown pass from Watson to tight end Jordan Akins. The Cowboys didn't give up and scored two unanswered touchdowns in the second quarter to take a 21-14 lead at halftime. However, the Texans regrouped and went on a 21-3 run in the second half to seal the win. Watson threw for 354 yards and 3 touchdowns, while also running for 1 touchdown as well. Both teams had plenty of offensive highlights in this game. The Cowboys were led by quarterback Dak Prescott, who threw for 312 yards and 2 touchdowns. Meanwhile, Ezekiel Elliott had a big day with 156 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. Overall, it was an exciting game between two rivals. The Texans will be looking to build on their victory when they face off against the Cowboys again in 2022. The Houston Texans and Dallas Cowboys rivalry is one of the most iconic in the NFL, with each team vying for dominance in the Lone Star State. The two teams have met multiple times in the playoffs, most recently in 2016 when the Cowboys defeated the Texans in the divisional round. This week, the two teams will face off for their second meeting of the 2022 season, with the Cowboys looking to extend their lead atop the NFC East. It promises to be a thrilling matchup between two teams that have had plenty of success in recent years. Here are some of the highlights from the Texans vs Cowboys Week 14 matchup. The Cowboys got off to a fast start, opening up a 17-0 lead in the first quarter thanks to a pair of Dak Prescott touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown from Ezekiel Elliott. The Texans responded with a touchdown drive late in the quarter, but still trailed 17-7 at the half. In the second half, Deshaun Watson and the Texans offense showed off their resilience. Watson connected with wide receiver Will Fuller for a 22-yard touchdown in the third quarter to make it a 17-14 game. They continued to chip away and eventually took a 21-17 lead on a 1-yard rushing touchdown from Carlos Hyde. However, Prescott and the Cowboys weren't done yet. He led an impressive drive late in the fourth quarter and connected with wide receiver Amari Cooper for a 15-yard touchdown with just over 2 minutes remaining. The extra point gave Dallas a 24-21 lead, which proved to be enough for the victory. The Houston Texans and Dallas Cowboys put on an exciting show this week, showing why their rivalry is one of the best in football. The Cowboys remain atop the NFC East with their Week 14 victory, while the Texans are still fighting for a playoff spot with 4 games left in the regular season. Be sure to tune into next week's action. The rivalry between the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys is legendary, and it continues in 2022 when they face off in Week 14. With the teams both looking for a win, this is sure to be an exciting matchup. For the Texans, this will be their first time facing the Cowboys since 2018, when they lost in a heartbreaking overtime game. With the return of Deshaun Watson as a quarterback, the Texans are hoping to turn that result around and come out on top this time. On the Cowboys' side, Dak Prescott will be looking to continue his impressive run of play and lead his team to victory. In order to be successful, both teams will need to make sure they execute their game plans perfectly. The Texans will need to establish the run early and often in order to give Watson time to operate in the pocket, while the Cowboys will need to find ways to contain Watson and force him into making mistakes. All in all, this matchup is sure to be an exciting one, with two teams that both have a lot to prove. Be sure to tune in to see who comes out on top in this Texas rivalry.